What's up, guys? How's it going? It's always me, Francesco, and today, of course, we have our lovely owner, Valeria Zavadnikova. So,
hello, everyone.
Thank you so much, of course, for joining us.
I just wanted to say thank you, Francesco, for the presentation. And it was an idea of mine for a really long time. And I really wanted to do it in Montemagio. As you can see, the amazing Tuscan hills behind me. And I really wanted for you to join me here to see it. And I wanted to be here together with Francesco. Unfortunately, we cannot be together in the same place due to COVID. Otherwise, we would have obligation to wear a mask all the time, and we thought that we are going to be in one place but in two different spots. So we're both in Montemagio, just in different tables. So we thought it would be a nice way to make our live sessions every Thursday a little bit different, and also give you an opportunity to meet me if you haven't met me before, and to also participate in the Q&A and ask me whichever questions you might have had maybe in your head for years. So I'm here for you. Ask me anything you would like, and we would start with simple questions that we prepared that Francesco will be asking me in the field of maybe something that would be interesting for you to know. And then feel free to post any questions that you want to ask us here, and I will try my best to reply to everything. So thank you very much for coming and seeing me today.
Okay, perfect. So thank you again. I think we can start. We can start with the question that we prepare. Of course, the first question, and I think one of the most important, is how did you discover Montemagio? When did you arrive here in Montemagio? And how was
it? We decided, my father actually, it was a dream of his life to cultivate grapes in Tuscany, and this is something that he really wanted to do. And then somehow the whole idea became kind of a real thought in his mind around 2007. So then I started looking. I was looking for different estates. We went to visit different estates, and the problem essentially was that we didn't want to buy just a house or a garden. We wanted to buy at least something that already had a wine production entity, something that was already producing, not just a piece of land that you had to plant everything. So we wanted that something that was already working and producing, maybe the grapes producing, maybe some kind of wine already, something. And it was not easy, I have to say, because there was either you buy a house or you buy a garden, or you buy a house and a plot of land, and you start everything from scratch. So when we came here in Montemagio and we saw this beautiful place, and we met all the people, and there was already a production, there were wines here and everything. So there was not much else to say, to be honest with you. I think the decision was taken quite quickly.
So it was your site, basically, with Montemagio.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
That's really, really interesting. Of course, I mean, for the people that never visit Montemagio, you should know that we have one of the most amazing views from the entire Chianti. I mean, at least that's my humble opinion, but it's really gorgeous. I mean, and I would say my office is beautiful. Oh, sorry, sorry, tell me.
No, don't worry. It's just I think because of our altitude, and because we are positioned around 600 meters above the sea level, you can see so far. Sometimes on a good day, when the visibility is great, you can see so far away. And I think this kind of gives you this kind of a perspective on the world. And then, you can hear the birds and everything. We're in the middle of nowhere, literally in the middle of the forest. And I think it makes the perception of nature so much different when you come here, far away from the city, from the noises, from the traffic, from all that bustling of the city. And here it's so peaceful and calm, and it's just I think like another dimension almost.
Yeah, absolutely. That's probably the best way to describe Montemagio. Absolutely. Okay, so let's proceed with the next question. So how your passion wine started? How did you fell in love with wine, and of course then winemaking? You said, of course, it was your father that had this in his mind, but then of course you also fell in love with this with the wine word, of course, right?
Yes, I mean, like everything, a lot of things we love comes from the family, right? Because you're so involved in this whole your life, and then eventually you build this love for something because everyone else in your family love it so much. And so again, a passion of my father in a way got transferred to me because essentially we were going traveling. He was taking me all the time on the different visits in different countries, to different states, and this love for wine, the discovery every time, and in a way it's like a little research every time, because I like doing research. So every time we research where we're gonna go, where we're gonna eat, where we're gonna taste, what we're gonna do, what we're gonna discover. So all this preparation and all these visits and all these travels, it's kind of like, it's again, it takes me back to my memories, to my childhood. Not that I was like drinking wine when I was 10 or whatever, but but visiting all these places and learning stories and learning passions of these people that have been doing it for centuries. This, it takes leaves a mark on you, and eventually sometimes you always gonna want to go back to what made you happy when you were young. And for me, essentially, love for wine comes from love for nature, because when I was young, we were with my grandparents. When I was 5 years old, we were cultivating vegetables and fruits in our vegetable garden, because I was born in Soviet Union, and if you didn't really cultivate things yourself, you didn't have enough of things to eat, basically. So it's just I think it comes for love of nature, and then eventually love of wine that comes from the family, and having all these memories and travels and good times together, that eventually comes into something, evolves into something much more deeper, into a deeper kind of passion.
Yeah.
So I think that was how it started for me.
Yeah, that's really, really, really beautiful. That's really great. I think we have a comment. So Gaetano Laflitto wrote, "It is so nice to see a passionate person doing what she likes. Did you study wine as well, economics?"
I didn't really study wine as in like an ecology. Like, I didn't really study as an agronomist or enologist or anything. Everything I know about wine, essentially, I've learned through my life, through the knowledge of my father, through my agronomist Ilaria. And when I came here, I was 23 years old, and I literally learned with her in the cellar, doing whatever she was doing. And then coming from a lawyer background, because when you're 17 years old, you don't really think like, oh my God, I want to, go to Tuscany, cultivate grapes. You don't really think about it, especially because when you're like 17 years old, everyone around you says, okay, you have to choose like this great kind of profession where you are, I don't know, a lawyer or economics or history, or I don't know, some kind of like important profession. And of course you make that kind of choice, that it's sort of a suggestion or an advice, trying to look for something that could offer you future stability, if we can call it like that. But when I actually lived here after 2 years, I realized that my law background is absolutely useless in this sort of sense, and I needed more education in terms of management, business management. And so, yeah, I went to, I did my master's in management of exactly wine estates and marketing and management. And I did 1 year in Bordeaux. And I think this had a profound effect on me, especially in understanding of strategies and future view of what should I do. Because I think when you are in one place, always being in one place, you're a little bit narrow-minded, because you are sort of boiling down in the same place and doing everything that everyone else is doing. And it's very hard to come out of this comfort zone and do something new. And I went there in 2011, and when, you know, all the social media and all this hype with Facebook and all of this were only just starting. So I think it was a great time also to be there in the right place at the right time, I think. And I think it helped me to understand what should I do, how should I follow, and what else should I do for Montemagio that would make any difference.
Okay, so it's really like help you to understand a little bit better how to manage things, how to handle things right here. Of course, like seeing other perspective, right? I guess. So yeah.
Also, yes, I mean, there were a lot of people that came like from, I don't know, there was a friend of mine, she's a friend of mine still, she came from a wine estate from Bulgaria. I knew they you know, make wines in Bulgaria, but like not so much. And then you meet all these people from different countries, from different backgrounds, looking for different things, and it's quite it's overwhelming, and it's very, very interesting, and you feel a part of a larger community. And that also made me want to create a sort of a community around Montemagio and teach people about organic agriculture and what we're trying to do here and what we're trying to achieve, and sort of like living a legacy in a way.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you, Gaetano, for your question. I think we have one more comment. Just let me check. Oh, there's a comment from Matteo. He says, Francesca, nice colleague with a lot of passion. Thank you so much. You're always too kind.
Very nice colleague. Very nice colleague.
Grazie.
I'm driving him absolutely crazy with all the requests and activities that I want him to do.
That's not true. That's always it's always a pleasure for me. So just, I mean, really, thank you so much. So next question, of course, I think it's so important, and I think it's like a little bit the backbone of everything. I mean, why this choice of organic farming, of organic approach? I mean, you says you want to share your passion about organic farming, about organic winemaking with people, and to create a community. Why this choice? Why this thing is so important for you?
Again, I think it comes from my childhood, and those times back, there were no pesticides. There were no, like, I'm talking about something that, you know, like artisanal kind of, not even agriculture, like cultivating stuff in your backyard kind of thing, you know, and it's just the backyard was quite huge. So, but not, you know, commercial agriculture. And those times back, we used, we collected our own seeds. We never bought anything. So we were planting every year, and then from the best species of everything, we were collecting our own seeds, and then we were using the manure from the cows from the nearby village, and it was just the water. We were collecting water, and that's all. So there were no pesticides, there were no chemicals, there were no you know, there was nothing that we were using apart from what was available, you know, from that came in a natural way. So it was very, and I think like, and we were happy because we were cultivating stuff, and then we were exchanging it for milk and sugar and things like that. And in that sort of sense, we were rich because we had enough, you know, enough of everything. And those times back, I think it was quite a luxury. And whatever we were preparing in winter, we were doing conserves for the winter. So all the, you know, tomatoes and everything and cucumbers and all that, and we were all doing conserves and we were eating it throughout the whole winter. So this whole kind of natural cycle stayed with me until now. It's always been with me. So I really wanted to replicate something like this here. I have a vegetable garden still here. I love tomatoes, and have all kinds of them, and just I'm trying to share it with my children as well, so that they see these things every single day. And despite living in a city, you know, they are still connected to all of this. And I really wanted to create something like this, but not out of necessity, like we had to do when I was a child, although I didn't really feel it like that. I wanted to create something like this, like an ecosystem, and something that is joyful and without crazy effects, bad effects on the nature and the planet and our own health. So it's that's why I wanted absolutely to do organic agriculture. And now I'm really happy because I think at Tuscany, it's a #1 region in Italy in quantity of organic estates, and this was not the case back in 2007, 8, 9. So it's incredible, and it's an amazing achievement, I think, for everybody to see so many organic estates and people in conversion, and people trying better ways for themselves and for the planet. So I know it sounds quite cliche, and everyone is talking about it, but I think it's more a philosophy of life rather than like a trend, at least for us here. So I think we have a question from Katerina. If you had to choose one wine and one type of food to pair and eat for the rest of your life, what would you choose and why?
That's a great question.
It's a great question. It's a great question, Kate. I love Chianti Classico. I really, really, really like Chianti Classico, and I think for me, this wine, it's a wine that you can drink it on its own. You can drink it with food. It is just such a friendly, easy drinking, very approachable wine, and I think it's my favorite wine, to be honest with you. Although I love everything else, but if I, like whenever there is a day and it's like, which one we're having tonight? I was like, Chianti Classico. We're having a Chianti Classico, and it's just very easy, very friendly. No need to think too much about it. So that's kind of its and then the food, that's complicated, quite complicated, especially until the end of until the rest of my life. It's a good question. I don't know, maybe pigeons. I really like pigeons.
Yeah.
Which is piccioni.
And also, I mean, I think it can be also very good pairing with the Sangiovese. So.
I actually, this is something that I cook quite often, especially in a Tuscan way, just with wine and with sage and some Tuscan herbs, and there is nothing, and it doesn't really need anything else. So I think this was my favorite pairing, and probably something that I wouldn't ever get tired of mixing, matching, and eating, drinking. So I think would be my. Although honestly, it's very hard to choose because there are so many dishes and so many amazing pairing ideas that is very hard to choose from, actually. But thank you for this amazing question. The pigeon is the best. Yeah, my pigeon are the best.
Yeah, I think now we're a little bit hungry after this.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so thank you, Katerina, for the great question, and we can proceed. I think.
Okay, we have another question. This wine provided the most educational and friendly wine tasting I have ever done in Italy, and I did a lot of wine tasting during my 3 years in Italy. Really woke my interest in wine production and really reading the labels. Thank you for saying that. Thank you very much for coming to join us today. And I'm really glad to hear this from you, especially. And I'm always happy to hear all the feedback and all the comments, because we would like to make things even better. So if you ever feel like there is something that we can do to make our tasting and our tours better, I would be very happy to hear. And Francesco, who is usually taking care of the tours here and taking care of our guests here in Montemagio, and would love to know your feedback. And if you think that there are things that we should add or things that we should take out, we would love to hear from you as well. But thank you so much for saying that. And I think as I said, I think we want to leave a legacy, and so we try to absolutely teach, whomever who wants to listen and whomever who wants to come and visit us about organic agriculture, why we're doing it, how we're doing it, what's kind of effect it has on the wine, what kind of effect it has on your health, and at the end, you are what you eat and you are what you drink, so it's important. And it should be important for everybody. But thank you so much for saying that. And please come again, because we're open since 26th of April, right? COVID rules respecting and all the and everything else, but we're open. So you can write us, call us, connect with us in any social media, and just come and visit us again. We're thirsty for seeing new faces here. It used to be so crowded, and now it's only birds and deers and Francesco.
Yeah. So I mean, if you're interested in wine tours and wine tasting, just call us. Of course, we will be so much so happy to welcome you. Of course. Okay, thank you again, Lupita, for the question. Okay, next question. That of course we thought of course it was interesting. It was quality over quantity. This is a very brave kind of approach, and so why you wanted so much this kind of you wanted to have so much this kind of philosophy where the quality was always coming first compared to the quantity, because of course it can be hard, of course, to work with this kind of like very specific kind of vision, but of course it is great.
I think Italy is famous for artisanal products. I mean, it's wherever you go, in every region, in every city. I mean, there is something so unique and connected to that territory, connected to those people, to their heritage, to their roots and history. And I think it's so valuable to cherish that. And I don't think I doubt that any other nation has so much of artisans and so much of handmade products, from cups to dishes to clothes, shoes, bags, wine, food. Like you name any, and there is an artisanal product that is done here, genuine handmade product that is done here. And unfortunately, this trade it's dying in the modern world of commercial use and abuse and commercial production, and and of course back in the 70s, and there was a whole boom of commercial production of wine, when there was more, everybody wanted quantity, more, because there was a new growing world to supply to, and there was this request. But now I think we're kind of going back to those principles where artisanal products are great and should be respected and should be cherished and should be, looked after and looked for. And I think it's, I don't really want to make wine that is mass production wine, and I have nothing against, and I think it's incredibly difficult to make good wine on a mass production level. I think it's incredibly, really hard, and people who manage to do something like that, I think they deserve a medal, because it's so, I mean, and the same like in a restaurant, doing pasta for 100 people is incredibly hard than doing it for 2. So I think it's we also have to give them a credit, because doing something on such a huge level and still keeping some sort of quality, I think it's an admirable quality as well. But this is not something that I would like to do. I always wanted to do something small, and I wanted to take care of every single bottle, and I wanted to know what is in every single bottle. And in the same way that we are trying to take care of all our customers and clients, trying to speak with with every single person, trying to understand what they like, what they don't like, to be able to take care of all this. Otherwise, it's just I don't know. For me, then it doesn't make a lot of sense. At least for my values, at least what I strive for, at least what I want to achieve in my life and what I want to see. So this is something that I always, since I've been here, I always wanted to do. So yeah, this is like my core values, and I'm not moving away from them at all.
Yeah, and I think that's really beautiful. And of course, I mean, when you taste, I mean, the first time I tasted Montemagio's wine, I really felt those kind of value, and really perceived those kind of value from the wines. I mean, and that's of course something that it's unique. And I mean, when you put so much effort and so much, let's say, when you take care so much about a product, then of course it became unique, and it became something so important. So
Yeah, and then I think you get so used to it that that it's hard to
to go
to
back to something else.
to go to something. Yeah, I love wine, so I'm always open. I try, but then I go home and I open Montemagio, and to me is the best. But so is every single wine producer in the world. Like for us, our children are the best, of course, even if they are the worst, and the same for the wine. Absolutely.
I guess so. Okay, so you said that, of course, now the approach that people have with the organic farming, organic agriculture, and eco-sustainability is changing. So there are a lot of wineries that are starting this, and of course, so you see this very important change in people when it comes about eco-sustainability compared to the past.
Yes, absolutely. I think the world is changing, and there is more and more and more interest. And what's amazing is that also the millennials, if before, even 10 years ago, I think it was people of middle age. They were trying because they were trying to take care of their health essentially. So they were more picky in terms of choice of food and drink. But now I'm so happy to see that all the millennials are following suit, and I choosing making conscious choices about different things. What are they putting in their bodies? What kind of products they're trying to support? And I think it's changing because the millennials, they are now the driving force of everything, and it's that's why I would like to continue, and I'm hoping now that the COVID is manageable kind of state, the people are going to come back, and all the we're going to have the guests again, and people who again want to learn about organic agriculture, want to learn about wine, genuine wine, quality wine, want to discover this territory and learn about this history and traditional culture. And I think it will be more and more and more, and they are the people that are largely online, driving the sales online, the e-commerce, the social media, all the platforms. And I think it's valuable to invest in them, to invest in educating them. And I've always thought like that, and we always try to do something that is applicable to them as well, making them interesting for them as well. So I think this driving force, and the fact that they actually also starting to take care, and then of course, look, there are so many visibility, the Greta talking about the end of the world, and how we have to take the climate into the account, and all this, and the politicians, and all the drives and the moves. And now, because of the social media, everyone is so connected, and everything is so connected, and all the projects and everything like that. And it's just so many documentaries in Netflix, and it's just, I think it's getting more traction, more and more and more. And now it's like a train, that is on a high speed, and there is no stopping it. So I'm glad we started early, and I'm glad we are on that train. So I think
absolutely. Yeah. And I think that in general, yes, people are starting more and more to understand how much is important to cooperate with nature and to keep in balance everything to, of course, be healthier and have in general healthier ecosystem. So I think that's something that,
and
of course,
I think the fact that because we all live in the cities, like in a concrete jungle, and we got disconnected from nature, from our roots. And I think when people come back into the countryside, come back into nature, they breathe this air, they listen to the birds, they listen to nature, and they kind of go back to where we come from. And it's nurturing, and it's there's again so much stuff on the internet about mindfulness and meditation, and going and taking care of the mind as well, not only the health and body and everything else, but also in your mind. And then where else you could be one with nature when it's just outside, when you are just listening to the birds and the wind and and the sound of the forest. And I think it's also, there's this whole trend going into that direction as well, and going back to our roots and from where we actually come from. I think it's important, and I think people will continue to strive for it and look for it. And especially now, where we all were closed, sitting, in four walls, looking at each other. I think now it's kind of, hopefully, it's going to start. It's going to go back to a crazy boom like we had before, not only for us, but for everything.
Yeah, in general. Yeah. Okay, let's go ahead. You said already that, of course, through social media, we are closer to each other, so we can communicate and we can share, of course, our values with the people. So, what's your relationship with social media? Of course, not only as a winery owner, but in general, what do you think about social media as a person?
Well, I like social media in the sense that you can. It's incredible the potential that it has for any business right now than what we had before when there was no social media. The potential is mind blowing, and it's incredible. The whole media, the whole YouTube, the whole social media, let's call it all social media, because channels, the broadcasting, the YouTube, the LinkedIn, they're all these platforms. It was impossible to think even 10 years ago that is going to be something like that available. It's just it's true that it became incredibly saturated, and you need to always innovate and do new things and more things and on and on and on to be able to attract people, because there are so much information now being bombarded at all of us, and now we're kind of almost overwhelmed with too much of it, and one becomes very selected, so you have to be very specific in sending a message. But I think it just will grow and grow and grow. And I think, look, there are so many courses available. You want to learn how to cook Thai food, you find videos on YouTube, and boom, in 3 months you already have almost a certificate that before you wouldn't have been able to learn all that unless you actually went to school or to Thailand or whatever. So it's just, and like this, I'm exaggerating in terms of Thai food or whatever. It's just, I like it myself. But I'm talking about any kind of philosophy. There are drawing courses I saw on Facebook. They're offering, like, learn to draw, learn photography, learn video making, learn this, learn that. It's just the whole, now YouTube's gonna, I think YouTube is just, my husband is always talking about YouTube all the time, and it's just, it came into my brain as well. So it's the future. There will be no more TV. There will be YouTube, and everybody will be, learning through these videos. And I think I've never been a moment like that, like right now, when the amount of information is so available, so close to you, like this. And I think it's quite incredible. It's just it's hard to navigate, because you have to be innovative. You have to make it always new and exciting for people to actually grasp and pay attention to you instead of to other 100,000 people that are trying to do the same thing. So but yeah, we just have to be very, very careful in terms of children, in terms of social media, the effect it has on social media, because it's just, everything it's exploding and multiplied by 1,000. If before, the kids were bullied in school by some nasty boys or girls in their class. Now it's being bullied in the internet, and it's just the magnitude of it. It's huge, and it can hurt so much more than before. It's just, I think we have to take care of that as a society in general, in as a community, as a society. But I think social media is an incredible tool available to everybody if you want to use it, and it's just so sad that Italy it's so backward. It's so behind. It's just I saw the statistic the other day, and like, of course, China is number one, then USA, then UK, Germany, France, and Italy is not even in the first 10 countries. It's very sad that we're so we're so backward, and it's just it's only starting. And maybe COVID will make people understand that this is something that they have to pay attention to. We will see.
We will see. I think, anyways, it's changing the relationship that even Italian has with social media, and so as you said, COVID changed a little bit the game. Let's say. So we have another question. Matteo asked, "What about French wine? What you guys think?"
Okay, I mean, I lived for 1 year in Bordeaux, and honestly, I struggled to find decent wine that cost less than €50. Maybe I wasn't looking in the right places, but I went to different wine stores and different and with a lot of tastings and stuff like this. But I can't say. I think it's just. But I'm biased. I didn't buy a state in France. I bought a state in Italy, so I'm already biased. So it's not an objective opinion. But I think there are amazing wines in France, absolutely. But I think the quality and price ratio is unbeatable in Italy, and that's why a lot of French people always come to Italy. I mean, look at Ventimiglia; it's full of French people. All the cars, in Sanremo and like all that part of Liguria that is close to French border, it's full of French people because they go to Italy for food and for wine. And it's just it's no wonder why. Although there are some, I really like some amazing rosé from Provence, and of course there are some amazing Bordolese wines, which are quite amazing. But I'm struggling to find wine that is relatively inexpensive and of the same quality as you can find in Italy. I mean, in Italy, €20 for a bottle of wine, you will find a great bottle of wine. In France, is like, I don't know. It's like it's not easy. It's so unfortunately, I'm sorry, Gaetano, but I'm not a big fan. Big fan of French wines. I absolutely prefer Italian ones, but again, I'm biased, so it's not a subjective, objective opinion.
Yeah, but of course that's also true that the cost of the French wine is a bit higher compared to Italian if you want to get quality. Yeah. So another question that I wanted to ask you, of course, we spoke about Sangiovese, but I wanted to ask you about also the Merlot, because of course we produce in Montemagio a Merlot that has certain kinds of specific characteristics. So if you want, of course, you can maybe tell why you wanted that so much.
Yeah. I think, if we think about maybe it's going to be a very simplistic explanation, but if we're talking about, let's take Chianti Classico, right? So Chianti Classico, it's a Sangiovese, essentially, in the past, traditionally. It's Sangiovese, Colorino, and Canaiolo. And despite the fact that, for example, Ilaria, she always wanted to do wine with only Italian great varieties, especially Italian traditional wine, like a Chianti Classico, Riserva, Gran Selezione, or 100% Sangiovese. And we always tried to do it when it was feasible, when it was possible. So it was something that we always wanted to do. But then obviously sometimes especially in the last years, because of the global warming and extremes of the temperatures and extremes of the, it just becomes more difficult and more difficult. And Merlot, it's an earlier grape variety for us because we harvest Sangiovese so late. I mean, it's crazy. Chianti and Chianti Classico is an amazing area because it stretches, and somebody who is harvesting close to Florence, finished with their Sangiovese mid September. We are still sitting and waiting for the harvest of Merlot towards the end of September and harvesting Sangiovese in the middle of November, in the middle of October, and so everything is so shifted, plus our altitude, plus everything else. It's just becomes incredibly hard. And because we're harvesting Merlot much earlier, sometimes it's just easy to do, not easier, it's just in terms of the blend, it just comes out better. And because of the, and because for us, Merlot, it's both together. The Colorino gives the color and Canaiolo gives the fruit. I think the blend of Sangiovese and Merlot in one way or another is always a win-win kind of approach, especially because Sangiovese is not an easy grape variety to understand. I love it, but again, I've been here for a lot of years, and my palate has changed and evolved, and like everything, it becomes a habit. I think for a lot of Americans who are used to Merlot and Cabernet Sauvignon, coming here and trying Sangiovese is very hard. It's difficult for them. It's more like harsh and more. It's something that the wine that is not easy to understand. Immediate. Merlot is very immediate. It's very easy. It's very easy to perceive. It's like boom in your mouth. It's super. Like an open book. You understand it straight away. There is no need to sit and invent anything. So I think having a blend where there is a part of Merlot makes it just easier to understand, I think. And then we always try to use just a very, very small part of Merlot and to put the most of Merlot into our super Tuscan wines like Torre di Montemaggio or Quinta Essenza or the other wines. So I think plus Merlot here is quite particular as well because of the altitude, because of the yield, which is very, very low. So I think it's a great choice in the sense that Ilaria always wants to do very traditional, but sometimes it's sometimes you have to appeal and add a little bit of modern touch, I think, to the wine. So Gaetano is asking, can you actually use Sangiovese for bubbles? Well, yeah. I mean, we have, for example, we do rosé, which is 100% Sangiovese. And it's not a Sangay method. It's early harvest, and yeah, absolutely. If we would have wanted to do a sparkling rosé, we absolutely could have done and added bubbles and had a sparkling rosé. Although, yeah, I mean, it's kind of accepted that everyone who's ever doing rosé bubbles comes from Pinot Noir. And I think even here there is this kind of trend, but I think absolutely. I mean, we're doing already Sangiovese, 100% Sangiovese rosé. I mean, it wouldn't be strange to do a sparkling wine from pure Sangiovese. Yeah, I think it's. There's so much insects right now here because it's getting dark and the sun is going down.
Outside.
No, it's really nice actually. This may have been quite cold, so
yeah. Okay, so the last question I wanted, of course, to ask you is about how, of course, a new wine is created. How you say structure the idea behind a new wine, and maybe if you want, you can tell us if you have a project right now about new wine in your mind.
Yeah, I mean, like with every wine, it starts with some sort of story. Always, like for example, with Cielo di Montemaggio, with the sparkling wine, I love bubbles myself, so I wanted to do sparkling wine, and then because we have so many guests, we used to have so many guests coming. When you give them a glass of sparkling wine, they feel that it's an amazing celebration, like with everything, right? Even if we're going outside having an aperitivo and you have a glass of Prosecco, it just feels like a celebration, like for any particular reason. So giving them a glass of sparkling wine, I think makes it so much special. And that's why I wanted to do a sparkling wine for Montemagio. And that's then it, then there was an idea, and then we started thinking like how we should do it. And then we saw at night, because it's so dark and there is so many stars, like in any countryside, because there is not much light around. And then you see all the starry skies, and we decided, okay, we're going to call it cello, because all this, stars is like a perlache in a bottle. I know it sounds very sweet, but I think it was a nice story. And then there's always a story. The same for the wine of Quintessenza, which essentially we used to call Trenta, which was a gift for my husband for his 30th birthday. Then our Swiss importer tried it, and he said, "Oh my God, why don't you commercialize it? I'm going to buy it." And we were like, "Okay, we're going to call it Quintessenza because it was fifth wine, and because there are 4 elements, and fifth element for us is wine." So every single wine has a story. First a story, and then we start thinking like how we're going to call it, what we're going to do with it, and what we're going to, so every time. And the same, so now we wanted to do these wines earlier, but because of the COVID and everything, we had to postpone the project. But we're planning to release 2 more wines in the nearest future. So I'm hoping one, absolutely, maybe sometime in autumn or at the beginning of 2022, and the next one we'll have to wait a little bit because we have to plant some wines for it. And but eventually, absolutely. And again, I think it's a process, and I enjoy it very much myself, because when you think about it so much, when you have this kind of project, and then you think, oh, how the label going to be, what I'm going to call it, what I'm going to put aside, and how the bottle going to be, then it's like it becomes like almost like a child, because you think about it for so long, and you kind of creating all this story, and then when it's ready, you kind of feel that this mission has been accomplished, and then you tell that story to everyone else when they come and they like it so much. So I think it's a process, and it takes some time.
Yeah, I think the description that we give about this kind of process is so beautiful, and it's so honest. And yeah, I think it's it's a really it's very like a creative kind of process. So it's like art. So it's really, really beautiful. So thank you so much. And I don't know if we have other question. Okay, no,
that's my daughter.
She's so sweet. And again, thank you so much. And if you have other questions, of course, you can just leave a comment. And of course, we will be so happy to reply to you. And again, as I always say, if you have other kind of a suggestion for the next live, the Wine Thursday, you can just again, make a comment, or you can send us a message. We're a little bit everywhere at this point. So yeah, they can really interact with us very easily.
Also, if you have maybe some ideas or maybe some wishes of how you want the live to be, I mean, it could be, it's not easy to do a live, I have to say. Like now I'm here with Francesco, and I'm obviously staring at Francesco, but when he's there on his own, it's quite, it's like you can go mad, because it seems like you're talking to yourself. And so, it's great that people are commenting, and that we have comments and messages and everything like that, because it feels a little bit like a dialogue instead of just having a monologue and talking to yourself like a crazy person. So if any one of you have any suggestions of how, we can make it better, or maybe you want more like PowerPoint sort of presentation, or more pictures, or more, I don't know, something, that we would be so happy to hear from you, any of your ideas, because we want to make it better. We want to make it more enjoyable for you, and to make it more fun. So whatever wishes, suggestions, and ideas you have, please let us know. We would be very grateful.
Yeah. So again, thank you so much, Valeria, and thank you to all the people that join us. It was a pleasure for me, and so maybe see you next time as well. So thank you so much.
thanks to everyone for coming. It was a pleasure. Pleasure is all mine. And if this is something that you guys really liked, then we can absolutely repeat it, discuss another topic, whichever you prefer, and we can do it again and again. Absolutely. So thank you for coming. It's been a pleasure, and I really hope to see you here in Montemagio very, very soon.
Thanks
for coming.
Cheers, everybody.
Bye. Ciao, ciao. Ciao.